Wow. Welcome to DisClaimer. Hmm. Hello, friends. Welcome to DisClaimer. Hmm. Welcome to DisClaimer. Buckle up, relax, get loose. This is the first episode. I'm a little nervous, a little excited. I'm really happy, honestly, that I'm here. So, welcome, as I just said. So as I mentioned, this is my first episode, my first podcast. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a rundown in terms of the podcast structure, my story, and then a little sneak peek into what we'll be talking about. So let's dive headfirst in. Let's just jump into it. So, wow. So, my name's Clay. I'll be your host of DisClaimer. Welcome again. This is where we break the mold, talk about, laugh about, and enjoy life's disclaimers. So, in terms of the structure of the podcast, we're going to be chatting about stories, chatting about a lot of my life stories. I'll be jumping into giving you guys a little bit of a background of my life, where I came from, the background, my childhood. I really want to dive into that. It's going to be a massive component into this podcast. I'll give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek into that in a little bit. Along with that, I'm going to be having some guests on. So I'll be interviewing, or I don't like the word interviewing, it's very heavy, but I'll be having conversations with different guests, um, friends, family, maybe, and even just strangers. So we'll be having different people on, interviewing, chatting about where they're from, their life story, what got them into certain things. I'm sure I'll be having some content creators on. So, in saying that, I'm sure a lot of you guys know me as The Way of Clay. And if you don't, that's my social media platform on Instagram, TikTok, and X. But we're going to be getting real. You're going to get to know Clay. That's me, obviously. So I'm going to give you guys a real, raw version of who I am. Talk about my childhood, things that I'm really going through that I struggle with, relationship, friendship, career, the direction I kind of see myself going. Um, a lot of things that I kind of went through in terms of childhood, high school, middle school, college, and then now I'll give you guys a little bit of a insight into that. So it's going to be a lot of just background in terms of me. So that's what this episode will be. So I'll give you guys a real brief rundown. We're going to start from the beginning. So we're going to go way back. So as a kid, I was overweight. I was about 215, 220 pounds all through elementary school. And I was made fun of a lot. I had a lot of friends, I would say, not to toot my own horn, but I was a people pleaser. And to this day, I still am. So it's something that I am working on. I'll tell you guys some tools and different things that I work on to manage and practice that mentally, spiritually, and physically. Shortly after I give you after I give you guys a little background, I'll dive into some tools. So growing up, I was overweight. I played a lot of sports. I was involved in a lot of activities, volunteering. I am also the oldest sibling of four. So I'm not sure about you, but in being the oldest sibling, I put a lot of pressure on myself. And I still do to this day. It's something that I put a lot of pressure on myself because I knew how excellent I could be, and I knew what excellence looked like. Or at least I painted this picture in my head of what excellence could look like. And I always wanted to meet that. Actually, I always wanted to exceed that. wanted to exceed that standard of excellence that I painted in my head. And if I'm being completely honest, it created a lot of anxiety and self-sabotage and obsession and perfectionism that I really struggle with to this day. So, in terms of my childhood and being the oldest sibling, I constantly put a lot of pressure in terms of the way I wanted to look. I wanted to provide my siblings with mm, kind of like a, it's going to sound very objective, but like a, of what you could look like. And because from when I was growing up, and still it's like to this day, I would say to an extent, people value someone who looks more in shape, someone who looks skinny, built, put together. So I put a lot of stress and value on that part of myself to really serve them because I wanted to lead by example and be a role model for my siblings. And I still do. So it's something that I've had to create some sort of balance with that. And in developing that balance, I kind of neglected my family for a while and focused on my friends as I was growing up. And that was kind of all through middle school and high school. It was just weird. I was very, um, I wanted to be the best sibling and provide a lot of insight and education and knowledge to my siblings in terms of growing up and going to school and kind of giving them advice that I wish I had in terms of, you know, what the girls wanted to see or what your parents expected of you or what high school and middle school really like was and what I maybe would have done different going back. Not that I regret it, but just to provide them with things that I've learned along the way. And in paving that way, I hit rock bottom. I hit rock bottom April 2nd, 2018. I was skateboarding down a hill with my friend. I was racing him. We were racing each other. And I fell off. We were probably going about 30, 35 miles an hour. I fell off. I got a really bad concussion, probably a grade 2 concussion. And I tore my AC joint. I needed surgery immediately. I barely remember the day. I'll give you guys a little bit more of an insight in some future videos in terms of what that was like that experience. I'll dive more into it. Um, but that was a crucial chapter in my book along my journey. And that was a wake up call. As I said earlier, I was neglecting my family and some friendships and relationships a bit. So I really, I really valued them after that because they took care of me. They helped me out. They took me to the hospital, made me food. They're taking care of me as I am recovering for, about a year from a concussion and transitioning to go into college. And the transition of graduating, it was a lot. Um, but they were there for me. And it was really a pivotal moment in terms of who I am and who I am today. Um, Fasting forward a little bit, I've had 5 subsequent surgeries, which have really taken me down the road of alternative medicine because the surgeries alone helped a little bit, maybe. Like, sure, certainly the first one. Nothing to say anything bad about Western medicine because I think it's kind of it's strangely divided where there's like Western, Eastern medicine, all these different terms in the middle, like surgery and holistic tools that we'll talk about maybe a little bit here. Um, and yeah, it was eye-opening. But what I learned along my way is that not every sort of healing mechanism, surgery, anti-inflammatory meds, painkillers, and things like that will help you heal, like truly get to the root cause and heal. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to just throw a band-aid over it and simply just jump back into life. I wanted to get to the root cause, not of the injury, but of my childhood trauma as a kid. And it kind of created, I don't want to say a monster, but it created someone that was, I was a little bit out of control. And as my high school years, I would say. And it really taught me a lot about myself and basically that I needed to, it forced me to kind of take a step back and find something else that worked for me in terms of my surgeries. So I had a few surgeries, as I mentioned, and the surgeries, yeah, they helped me heal, but it wouldn't help me get to the root cause. So then fast forward to about 2022, I was introduced to the place that I work now and some holistic tools in terms of cryotherapy, hyperbaric chambers, infrared saunas, eating single ingredient food. I learned a lot, or I self educated by reading books, listening to podcasts. And I'll dive more into that in some future episodes in terms of what books and podcasts that truly helped me. And you guys can let me know what sorts of things would provide you with the value. So let me know in the comments in terms of what sort of things you guys are interested in hearing from me. In terms of like valuable insights that I could provide, maybe my perspective on surgery or, you know, holistic tools or being the oldest sibling. So we'll dive a lot more into all of these. But I was exposed to some of these tools, and this is what I wanted to get to. So along the way, I recognized my mind, body, and soul was they were interconnected. And I kind of knew that, but I never really believed it. I kind of overlooked it, or I did for sure for a while. I overlooked it. I thought like physical, like your body was just it was the most important, at least to me at the time. I put a lot of priority on it because I was overweight as a child. I think still digging at that. But in saying all that, there's a lot of different tools out there that can really help, or that helped me specifically in terms of developing a relationship with my mind, my body, and my soul. And we'll start with the mind. So, in terms of the mind, a lot of different tools that really helped me. Number one, therapy. Psychotherapy has been instrumental. It's kind of interesting to classify these because they all kind of are interconnected. But psychotherapy really helped me manage anxiety, manage communication in terms of relationships with friends, family, coworkers. It helped me heal some trauma that I was just chatting about in terms of my childhood. It was probably the biggest transformation that I've ever had in terms of healing and growth. Psychotherapy changed me, changed my perspective on life. So I'm just going to give you guys one tool from each category, and we'll dive more into each tool and more. And there's more tools in each category. Um, so therapy for the mental health. Number two, spirituality. I would say lately, developing my spiritual relationship tool that's honestly helped most, it's been books, but one book in particular. And I want to leave you guys with that question. Curious what book you think it was. I'll tell you guys in a future episode in terms of what book it was. But books changed my relationship with spirituality. And, I don't necessarily think that there's just one book. It's kind of hard to put one book on, and like labeling one book changed my spirituality or changed my life. There've been a lot of books, honestly. That's why I mentioned books that have changed my perspective and my relationship with spirituality and my relationship with myself. And it's helped me heal and given me grace by developing this relationship. So I'm curious what book you guys think it is. So I'll leave you guys on that little cliffhanger. But I'll let you guys know the book in the next episode. So moving on to the body. The body, honestly, pretty generic. Working out, any sort of movement for me. Working out is kind of a weird term because people put an emphasis on like going to the gym and getting stronger. Honestly, I want to say working out and movement because it's kind of been in a combination. Maybe movement's probably a better terminology. We'll stick with movement. So any form of movement, whether it's strength training, yoga, going for a walk. Honestly, this past year, going for walks have changed the way that I feel in terms of mood and energy. Um, yeah, it's movement in general, even if it's just stretching. I've been stretching a lot in the last half of 2024. Actually, it's probably been no, it's been over a year. I've been stretching consistently, and that has changed the way that I feel. I feel looser, and I can tell when there's days when I don't stretch that I don't feel the same. Like and what I'm saying is movement to me, that tool specifically changed my relationship with my body. And in saying these three tools, I want to kind of bring it all together. Essentially, these three tools that I just mentioned to you in each category, they're all kind of stress management tools that have just helped me. So I want to go more into depth and give you guys a little bit more of an episode on, more specifics of each tool. I know that this is the first episode, so I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a rundown, little into my story and the structure of the podcast and kind of the future of it in terms of having guests on and having different conversations with some friends, family, maybe even some, or maybe family, and then for certain strangers, just people I've never met. So, in saying all that, I want to let you guys know that I'm also going to be touching on a lot of other topics like philosophy of life, my ethics, um, a lot of different books, podcasts, and educational resources that have really helped me. So we'll kind of go through this in the future, and I'll let you guys know more in terms of the specifics as to what's helped me. But I wanted to just keep this episode short, give you guys a brief intro, welcome you to DisClaimer, and let you guys know that I'm here to provide a new perspective. I'm here to be a helping hand. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to let you know what's worked for me. You know, there's a lot of different things out there that work for different people. So what's worked for me may not work for you. But I wish I had someone like this providing me with a little bit of insight in terms of different tools that's helped them. And yeah, I want to be your friend. So reach out. Let's be friends. Um, in saying all that, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. So, one thing that I've recognized throughout life is that a lot of the things we need to hear and learn are not necessarily new topics or new things or new tools. Sure, they can be, but a lot of it is simply reinforcing the old tool or reinforcing something that you forgot or overlooked, or you're like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about this book. This book changed my perspective 3 years ago. And, it would be helpful to, to go kind of go back to that. Um, so in saying that, let me put it all a little bit shorter. A lot of us don't need to be retaught a ton of different things. We just need to be reminded of what those things are. So I'll leave you guys with that. I'll let you guys sit with that final thought. And as I said, welcome to DisClaimer. Final thing that I'll leave you guys with is that I will not be always this professional looking dressed in terms of, my jacket, my shirt. But first episode, I wanted to keep it professional. I wanted to thank you and let you guys know that I respect your time. I'm not here to preach some crazy methodology. I'm here to share some insights. I'm here to be a friend. I'm here to be a helping hand. So thank you guys. Appreciate you guys listening, and I'll talk to you guys soon. All right. Take care of yourselves, and don't forget to keep breaking the mold. All right. That's what I'll leave you guys with. All right. Thank you guys. Take care of yourselves. Get this stepping, and we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.